9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Hello, greetings, everybody. This is WWT's Media and PR Princess, and everything you need to know about AEW. This is Stone Cold Courtney Rice, or as you can call me, Courtney Cassidy, tonight as well. We just wrapped up our final Dynamite before we head to Full Gear, and we're gonna give you a run-by-run snippet on what happened throughout the night. So hopefully you had the chance to watch through it, get your ears in motion, get you pumped for Full Gear this Saturday at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. So we kicked off the show, as I mentioned, this past Saturday on Collision. They premiered the music video for Full Gear, and the song accompanying it is November Rain by Guns N' Roses. So they showed a little shortened version highlighting some of the main storylines that are happening, which it's really getting everybody pumped and excited about Full Gear. I was very happy they did get to show like some of the major storylines. I know, I know it was crazy, but we got to see that. And then we just jumped right into the All-Star 8-man tag team match where we had Will Ospreay, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricochet, Mark Davis taking on members of the Don Callis family, the AEW International Champion Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage. This was a really good match to start off Dynamite. And it also really wanted to get the crowd amped up a bit and get them very excited leading into Full Gear because Will Ospreay is taking on Kyle Fletcher, and I'm very happy. As I mentioned, I thought at least we would get a tag team match at Full Gear, but I'm happy it's going to be just Fletcher and Will Ospreay because that really does help out their rivalry a bit since it's just them. And also after the promo Ospreay gave last week, it really centered on attention as well. So I'm very happy that even though it is centered mostly on Ospreay and Fletcher, it's technically centered on other people, especially against the Don Callis family, because this is actually the first time we've seen a group of people take on the Don Callis family evenly, because usually it's like 1 or 2 people. So it's nice to see 4 people taking it on. And of course, we had a scary situation because we saw Powerhouse Hobbs when Will Ospreay was pushed to the steel steps, his knee hit the steel steps, so he had to be taken to the back for a bit, and we thought it was very serious. But he came back out later in the match, and hopefully it's not that serious because he just came back. I would love for him to at least get a brief run because he has so much potential in there. So it was a very good, solid match, everything back and forth. And the winner of that match was the Don Callis family. And I like that they get a win because at least it builds momentum for Kyle heading into his match against Will Ospreay. Because as I mentioned, that match is going to be fire. The two of them, the build up, the storyline, everything, the promos, even the promo that they did last week, it was really exciting. But I smell something because I've been hearing a lot of chirp that Mark Davis may turn heel against Will Ospreay. Because I feel like anytime he confronts Kyle, he wants to talk to him. And it's nothing physical. So I don't know what's going to happen with there. I don't know what they're going to do. But Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, that's going to be a fun match. Of course, probably going to see some shenanigans within the Don Callis family. But I just hope this match is one-on-one. And also, hopefully that creep Don Callis won't be doing commentary in that match because I feel like he's going to be running for his life. He's going to be running for his life. So, that was the first match. that we've seen. So, of course, after that match, we have a promo with the Death Riders, and Moxley, of course, was doing a promo, puts over Orange Cassidy as having more going on behind his eyes than any of them realize. He may leave Full Gear with his mind intact, but his and Darby Allin's body is still up for grabs. And also, Claudio did a promo, especially because they had a match, which I will talk about later on. Claudio and Darby Allin. And Darby Allin does a promo arriving at a loading dock with his skateboard. So I will talk about that a little bit later on. So we do get a little preview of the Continental Classic that's going to start next week. And that's always an anticipation. I was very excited with last year. And I'm also curious on who is going to be a part of it. And also, will this be the time that we get to see Okada drop the title? Because he's had that title since well, actually he lost it on it. Actually, he won it on an episode of Dynamite. He won it. I forget specific episode, but he did win it on an episode of Dynamite, and he's held the title since. So I think it would be great to give him a legit storyline for that belt. And I'm always game for it. So we get to see the Continental Classic. Of course, we see the Hurt Syndicate arrive with Bobby Lashley and BP and Shelton Benjamin, and they were doing an interview with Renee Paquette, and she tried to interview, but surprise, surprise, Swerve Strickland took a cheap shot against Bobby Lashley, and well, hey, Swerve, after the upcoming weeks on what they did to Swerve, it's like, come on. So I would probably say it would have, but yeah, she did. I think I heard Renee Kirsty. Yeah, I think she did. I couldn't listen to it, but yeah, Swerve had the chain out and everything, and the Hurt Syndicate was not really happy about that. But um, that's the thing about Swerve. Yeah. Then also we switch over to Adam Cole. Of course, Adam Cole talks about that he wants to get his hands on MJF. But he's not, because after what happened last week, Roderick Strong got his 3 wins, and he's going to be the one challenging MJF. So Adam Cole does his promo, and he's hoping Roderick Strong gives him a butt whooping of a lifetime. And shockingly enough, we hear from Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly put out 14 years ago in Reading, PA. Him and Adam Cole had their second match ever against each other. Kyle says he knows Adam Cole better than everyone, and his crusade against MJF needs to end before he gets hurt. Cole needs to stop having his friends fight his battles, and Kyle doesn't have a good feeling about any of this. Kyle says dealing with MJF is like playing with fire, and he doesn't want to see any of his friends get burnt. Kyle says everyone rallies around Adam Cole because he's an elite wrestler and a good friend. MJF is more of an evil bastard than Adam Cole will be, and that's a good thing. Well, Kyle O'Reilly had some very strong words to say about that, and some of it is true, because MJF, he likes to pull strings. He likes to manipulate people. He likes to get under people's skin and know where they were on their childhood, especially if they had a crappy childhood. So he likes to pull a lot of strings. And speaking of that, we get to hear from MJF later in the show if you missed it. But that's what Kyle O'Reilly, and I thought that was really interesting to say. And then, of course, we have our second match, which involves the ladies. We get to see the ladies in action. So we get to see Hold on, I'm trying to get my results. So we get to see MJF thinks he grew with a great childhood. I'm waiting for somebody to. I think somebody did, Boza. I'm trying to think somebody did. He did it, but I'm not sure. I have to look at it again, but I think that's bound to happen sooner than you think. So, speaking of that, we get to see the ladies in action. We get to see Chris Statlander before her match against Hikaru Shida. Oh God, Shida. My brain is just so messed up, and it's only Wednesday. We get to see Chris Statlander taking on Hikaru Shida. And I will say, I was very surprised it was early. And also those two ladies delivered. And I will say the time, I was happy they did have a lot of time in that match. It made me feel so good to see. And also, this is what they need to do in their women's division because they have such a strong roster and there is so much that they could do with it. And this match gives you a reason why they have a really good, solid women's division. If they get their act together, and a lot of storylines doesn't have to be evolved around the titles. They could also be evolved around different things. So this is something, and it gives me a reminder where I really want to see them thrive because all of the ladies in that division deserve the spotlight. So I'm just saying, boss man, you got to put more than one women's match on Dynamite. You do it with Rampage, do it with Collision. Dynamite's your flagship show. You got to put at least more than one. I don't care if it's a tag team match, trios match, an 8-woman tag match. I don't care. Just do it. And especially with some of the storylines you have, they can intertwine with each other. So, Lewis, are you talking about tonight's watch along or Full Gear? Because I know there's not going to be a watch along for Full Gear this weekend because I will be there in person on site. But if you check Women's Wrestling Talk on our YouTube channel and everything else, the watch along is there live. So the ladies did deliver. Winner of that match was Chris Statlander. And then, of course, we had an appearance by the TBS champion, the CEO herself, Mercedes Moné. And she had some words to say. Of course, she had to mention she was a Boston sports fan. Mind you, they were in Pennsylvania. And she's a Boston fan. Pats, Red Sox, Celtics, you name it. I kind of knew she was going to take a jab at the Sixers. So she's trying to do that. And of course, we see her Brickhouse Camille in a sling after what Chris Statlander did after they tried to run her over with the car and she hit her with the car door. So I will say that's one of the first few times I've ever seen somebody manhandle her Brickhouse. And also, she tried to get Camille to fight off. She tried to fight off both Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander, which that's kind of a bad idea. And Mercedes tried to get the upper hand, and it didn't. Chris Statlander got the upper hand, and if I were Mercedes, I would be very, very nervous. I wouldn't even budge because you're not facing off. I mean, you face off against Dr. Britt Baker. You face off against Hikaru Shida. You face off against Stephanie Bakure. You face off against many ladies, but you're facing off against a person that was a former TBS championship. And I would not take Chris Statlander lightly at all. So she better be very prepared. And especially after what she did to your brick house, you better bring your A game this weekend because soon enough there could be a new TBS champion happening this weekend. So, jumping from the women's match, we got to see Bobby Lashley in action, and he was wrestling against two local people in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Pretty much short and sweet to the point. Bobby. Yes, it is. But yeah, I am pulling for Chris Statlander too, because like I said, last year she walked in as CBS champion, but she lost, and this is redemption for her. So hopefully it'll be a redemption story for her. But going back, Bobby Lashley, I'm just going to be short and sweet with this. He was in a match with two local people in the Reading, PA area. Short and sweet, Bobby Lashley got the victory. However, um, thank you for that, Lewis. No, Lewis, as I mentioned, there's not going to be a watch along this weekend. I will be there on site in person, but there is a but we may be doing a post show after Full Gear. So no watch along, but there will be a post show happening this weekend after Full Gear. So sit tight, get ready. As I mentioned, after Bobby Lashley's match, we got to see Swerve. And can I just say, I was so happy to see Prince Nana get a chair as an equalizer. I really thought he was going to hit Shelton Benjamin. And I think we are going to see MVP versus Prince Nana very soon. I don't know when, but we are. And I was just cracking up so much. I was like, I was like, you know what? He had enough. He had the chair. He looked like he was going to hit somebody. And then, of course, we see Swerve Strickland come from under the ring, take out Bobby Lashley with that chain, kill switch, house call. And he almost tried to take out MVP. Swerve is going to show you why he's the most dangerous man in AEW. And that match is going to be very interesting. And also, I'm very curious on what's going to happen next, because I know Swerve, he manhandled them, but soon enough, he's going to need some backup in a couple weeks. And another thing I'm going to shift over, because I have noticed since the Hurt Syndicate came in, they have brought their cards into Ricochet, Leo Rush, Mercedes Moné, and the Acclaimed. Now, I have to switch gears because we're on the subject of the Hurt Syndicate. You may recall a couple weeks ago, MVP gave a card to Caster and Anthony. Of course, Anthony declined, but Caster, it's been a little weird because ever since MVP came into the mix, it's just been very weird. And I know there's been a lot of chatter and chipper that the Acclaim's going to break up either at Full Gear or afterwards. My take on this, I don't think it's going to happen yet. And the reason I say that is because I feel there is something that's kind of needed, and also because they always have the saying, people appreciate things after they are gone. People don't realize it's going to be a little bit of a void within that tag team division, because the Acclaimed are the winningest tag team, homegrown AEW. You can't deny that. If you remember how they first started, they started from the bottom where a lot of people didn't like them, and they just kept on doing it organically. And what made them stand out, and this is what you notice too, this is what they make them stand out: their charisma, their swag, their energy, chemistry, and they pretty much can work with any team chemistry-wise. I mean, we've seen what they did with LFI. There was like charisma galore. So it is going to be a void, and I can't see them breaking up my clients yet. Also, I know people have been chattering with Max Caster joining the Hurt Syndicate. I don't think he should. And I think he should stay. The same thing with Swerve. he needs to stay far, far away because they're already at the top of their game. And also, the only reason I think MVP is targeting Caster is because of his dad. Because if you did not know, his dad played for the NFL. He played for the New York Jets as a tight end alongside Joe Namath. He played there for a couple years, which, by the way, is ironically enough, he played in the same team, the same division as my team, the Dolphins. And then, of course, when he played Washington, he won a Super Bowl. And Max actually talked about this right after they won the tag team titles. Like, he talked about greatness and then included his dad winning the Super Bowl because when they were doing their scissoring day celebration after they won the titles, they were in DC and he was talking about it. I'm very shocked MVP brought up his dad now because earlier this year his father passed away. And that's a blow to him because that's something a lot of people don't talk about personally. And also, I'm very shocked it was brought up, especially since his father recently passed away earlier this year. So I just think that one of the reasons, possibly with MVP, is probably because of his father. And he's trying to say, like, don't you want to be like your dad in the Super Bowl and all that stuff? And it's like, maybe that's the reason why Caster wants to stay away because he's already done it. And plus, we've already seen him and Anthony have solo matches. Anthony's had solo matches and had a few wins. We've seen Caster be in solo matches on his own. So I don't think it's the end for my clients yet because I feel like I don't want to say they don't have a lot to prove, but I want people to know why they are one of the best homegrown talent, most specifically in the tag team division, because I will say this is more of a test for Private Party because you're going up against like tag teams that are no joke. And also for me, I have a feeling the Acclaimed is going to possibly feud with the Hurt Syndicate. Not sure if it's alongside Swerve because also if you saw in the couple weeks when the Acclaimed had an interaction with the Hurt Syndicate, it looked like Caster wanted to punch Shelton Benjamin in the face. And that's going to be bound to happen. They're going to have a match sooner than later, but keep the Hurt Syndicate, same thing with Swerve and Nana, keep them far, far away from the Acclaim. So I just don't think it's going to happen, but we shall see. And I just don't think they're breaking up anytime soon. But only time will tell. I just don't want them to be with the Hurt Syndicate because they've already had fans. They've already shown it organically, and they're one of the top stars. But only time will tell. But who am I to say? So I had to put that spiel in because there's been a lot of chirping with one of my clients. So I had to put that in there. So we head to the next match. Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli. Whew. There was a lot of energy and explosion in this match because Darby, he just came right out the gate. Claudio was going back and forth. But I will say, after Claudio threw Darby Allin to the ring keeper's table, Darby's used to pain, but I was very, very nervous on that. And I was just like, ugh. Ugh. It's just, I was very nervous. But, thanks, Boza. Yeah, I did have to say that regarding the Acclaim because there's been a lot of chatter. I just don't think they're breaking up yet, my clients, because I saw the interaction with Castor and Benjamin, and they're gonna fight sooner than later. And plus, why would you put him in the same stable with somebody he has a beef with? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think they're gonna break up yet, but if they're gonna do it, let them do it within each other. But I just think there is a lot to prove. So we shall see. I mean, I just can't see them breaking up yet because there's still something. And also, it does create a void within the division, as I mentioned, because they've created so much of an impact, especially from a homegrown perspective. So hopefully the guys do something. I'm sure they probably talked about this off screen as well, but we shall see what happens with my clients. But going back to Claudio and Darby, I was very nervous with Darby because I will say after sending him to that timekeeper table, I thought Darby was done. Darby tried to get back in the ring, but Claudio just gave a clothesline and he came out the winner. Darby just, yeah. So Claudio got the ring, and I think it's pretty much building momentum for the BCC, especially heading into this weekend. So it's kind of like giving them a little bit of momentum. So Claudio picked up a win. And of course, let's see. So we see Renee Paquette chatting with Big Boom AJ and Big Justice. Just a little about them. They are influencers. If you've seen them floating around on socials, because they have that song, We Bring the Boom. That's me. I've been following it too. It's like, we bring the boom. So, Big Boom AJ has a match on the 0 hour against QT Marshall. So he was talking about that a bit. Then, hold on. Something. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so, okay. So, we see Tony Schiavone standing by the Undisputed Kingdom. And, you know, Roderick Strong had a few words to say regarding what MJF said about his because MJF had a lot to say about Roderick Strong. I mean, you know, with him growing up, he had parents that were addicts, didn't have a great childhood, and tried to put it in perspective. But Roderick Strong had some words to say, and he's not scared of Max. He sent a message to him, and he's ready. He's ready to take on MJF, and he's going to show it. But I just have a feeling this match is going to be a lot of shenanigans. I just feel like it's not going to end clean and something is about to happen. And I feel like MJF is like 3 steps ahead above everybody else. And also, it's a possibility because I'm trying to think. I don't think anybody's mentioned about his childhood. I know, I think it was Brian Danielson or somebody mentioned not the girl he's with now, but he was with somebody else and they were engaged and they talked about how she walked out on him. So, yeah, somebody did bring that up. So, I don't know. But also, and then of course, we see a little bit of the TNT championship between Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry. As you know, what happened this past weekend on Collision, Jack Perry tried to Daddy Magic Matt Menard during his match, during Daniel Garcia's match that he was commentating for. But apparently they wrapped up Jack Perry in front of his bus and they were giving him a ride. And then also we see Chris Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii stand by Renee Paquette to sign a contract for their Ring of Honor World Championship match next week. Jericho tries to take the contract and see if he can look at his lawyers, but Ishii was following him all the way from the backstage into the arena. I have to say that was very chuckling. I was cracking up so much during that. And he just had a serious face, and Jericho, he looked so scared. Of course, we saw the learning tree come out, and then the conglomeration came out backing up. But soon enough, the contract was signed, sealed, delivered. We have a match next week for Thanksgiving Eve. So, and then of course we get to see Jimmy Hager, especially after what happened last week, because the vignette about Julia Hart was played during her interview, and we did see it again happening tonight. So I think it's a possibility she may be feuding with Jamie Hager when she returns, because that's like a specific target. But I'm happy there are a lot of rivalries happening within the women's division. And of course, we saw our own women's champion, Mariah May, with Mina Shirokana. We also know she's going to have her celebration this weekend, finally. And I smell something. I smell a lot of sneakiness happening in between. I know we probably see Anna Jay, because Anna Jay can't challenge Mariah as long as she's champion. She can play mind games with her, and I would be okay with that. So we probably see that, and this is going to be interesting. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Mina Shirokana turned on her, because that could be a possibility as well. And the former Club Venus will be nice. So at least we get to see some action on Rampage with Mariah May and Mina Shirokana. So that's going to be fun too. So she's going to have her celebration this weekend, but I just have a feeling I smell some sneakiness happening this weekend. And then, of course, they have the main event. And, well, main event, Wheeler Yuta, take it on. My client, Orange Cassidy. Let me say this. This was a really solid match between those two. Teacher versus student. And it's like Wheeler Yuta got the upper hand. This is why Orange Cassidy is one of the best homegrown talent within AEW. This guy has put in the work since it first started. You could say whatever the hell you want about him. You could say, like, oh, he's this, he's that. He can't do nothing wrong. He's slow. He's a sloth, everything. When he's in that ring, this is where he becomes very dangerous. And another reason why he's a two-time AEW International Champion. If you don't believe me, go look at any of his matches during his reign as AEW International Champion. And he just delivered. And this just shows the resilience that he has. And he is stepping up to be a leader. And everybody says, oh, well, how come it has been 5 years since his title belt? Sometimes it's always not how you start. It's always how you finish. And this has been building up quite some time for Orange Cassidy. And also seeing growth. Because I knew he was bound to be World Heavyweight Championship someday. It was just the timing and who was going to be the one to do it. So, also on top of that, chemistry, like the organic chemistry, like who was going to be the one to help lead Orange Cassidy up to the top of the mountain. And it was perfect to have Moxley do it, considering they have met before. Cassidy does have a win over him. So it really helps the dynamic. So during that match, it really made me excited a lot more And of course, the winner of the match was Orange Cassidy. After the match, of course, we saw the BCC trying to attack and taunt Orange Cassidy. Marina Shafir tried to wrap Cassidy up in tape, not put his hands in his pockets what he used to, and tried to bully him like a toy. Moxley acting like Mr. Tough Guy and everything. 4-on-1. Well, you know what? Orange stayed standing. Of course, we saw the conglomeration come out afterwards because he said earlier that he was going to do this on his own and doesn't need any help. But thankfully, he has friends to do that. And if I were Moxley, you made a big, big mistake. Because this is not like some of the younger stars within AEW. This is not Bryan Danielson. This is not Kenny Omega. This is not Hangman Adam Page. You're facing off against an AEW homegrown talent, one of the most popular homegrown talents who, by the way, beat you. And can I also mention that he's also a 2-time AEW International Champion? So there's a lot of things. And if I were Moxley, I wouldn't underestimate Orange Cassidy. Because you know what? After the conglomeration ripped the tape off his hand, he put his hands in his pocket and he is still standing with his shades. And that's why he's Orange Cassidy. And that's why he's Orange Cassidy, friends. And that's why he's one of my clients. And just put that in the record. Orange, remind the folks on what you do. Remind the folks on what you do. Because here's another reminder on who he is.
Because I am freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, and I do not have a catchphrase.
I never get tired of playing that clip. I never get tired of it. He can do it on his own. He can. And he can do it. He can do it. And I believe in him. I believe he can do it on his own. I wonder from Orange Board Review, is it about the title or getting revenge? I think it's a little bit of both, Boza. I think it's a little bit of both. Because, yes, of course he wants revenge on his friend Chuck Taylor. But also, this is him stepping up as a leader and being on the forefront of AEW because he's an original. He's been there from the beginning. He's faced off against the BCC. He knows how they operate. So this is like somebody needs to step up to the plate, especially against Moxley, and also make it organically believable. And it's nice that they picked him. I mean, I can understand with Darby, everything else, because for Darby, it's going to happen. He's going to have the world title soon. But I think with Orange, he knows how Moxley operates. I mean, they fought against each other last year at Wembley Stadium, at All Out. I mean, they've had a lot of brutal matches. So it's a little bit of both. Also, he's just not representing, the conglomeration and everything else. He's representing AEW. He's representing the company that gave him his opportunity along with many others. And who are the young stars going to turn to? Because some of these stars, these are 24, 25, 26. Some of these stars haven't even known how it feels to get to that next level. As you would see with some of the other stars that have already won titles and already over with the fans. Like Orange, Darby, MJF, Swerve, The Acclaimed, Dr. Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, some of those homegrown. And also, it's really proving a point because I just think this is more than just the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This is about really taking a stand and representing AEW, because it's like, what does Orange have left to lose? And also, he's doing it in front of his home state of New Jersey. And it's going to be a wonderful homecoming for him. So I'm super excited for this weekend. I hope you had a chance to enjoy this watch along. It has been a fun one. Thank you for having me. Oh, and thank you, Roswell, for joining. I hope you get to enjoy my watch along and post show soon. And shout out to Lewis. And of course, Boza, thank you for joining. This has been a really fun post show. As you know, this is the final one. And for me, the rating, I will give it a solid 8 out of 10 for Dynamite. I really do think this is going to be, it was a very solid episode. I mean, there was a few misses and everything else, but this is a pretty solid episode going in. And Moxley made a big mistake on not taking my client seriously, because when he's in the ring, he could be dangerous. So this wraps up the weekly edition of AEW Dynamite. This is your PR princess, and everything you know about everything All Elite. This is Courtney Rice. Just a reminder, you can always catch me, not just every Wednesday, but you can always catch me with the WWT Live Crew every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I will not be on this Friday, but I will be posting my bold predictions on Instagram. So you can follow me on @CourtneyNJ11. I'll be posting my bold predictions, and I will be doing a tribute video to a particular superstar in AEW that has a match this week. Feel free to check out my other videos that I did. The first one I did was between Toni Storm and Mariah May at Wembley Stadium. The second one, I did a tribute video to the Acclaimed ahead of their match also at Wembley Stadium. So I'm very excited to do video number 3, and this is going to be very fun. So feel free that you can always find me and everywhere else. Next Saturday, I'm doing a toy drive where I'm working with the Monster Factory and Bell to Bell, where we're collecting toys for kids who are affected with either HIV or HIV and AIDS. So this is definitely a good cause, and also part of their Jingle Bell show that's happening. So it's always a good way to get back during the holiday season. So this has been a wonderful, fun edition. I hope you guys be able to watch Full Gear this weekend. There will be no watch along this week. I will be there in person, but also there is a possibility of doing a post show. So be on the lookout for that. So this is Courtney Rice. I am signing off, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening, wonderful Wednesday. And like I said, if I don't see you Friday, I will see you next week. So have a great evening.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at wwtalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at wwtalkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.